almost go with the Gile outro song. All right. Hola community, welcome to another episode, another weekly review. What's new in Blender, in the community around Blender, and in the branches to come, in the future to come. How is everybody doing? Everything is okay, Mike? Fine. Thank you everybody for a thumbs up in the chat. We're gonna start with some little announcements, then the bigger announcements, and then who knows. We're streaming live from Amsterdam like every week, so make sure that you leave your questions if you want to ask anything on Blender.community in the Blender.Today page right here. It's a blog post. It's already done by Sansuls. Thank you for working on it like every week. The big announcements. Okay, I have two big announcements. One is virtual, one is real. So the real one is that we have socks. We have Blender socks. Actually, they were posted on social media some days ago. I don't know if you got to see them, but they are UV unwrap socks. Like, doesn't get more nerd than this. And I mean, it's a really good unwrap. To be honest, like it actually goes around. It has a little, it has the seams over here, but it's actually really well done. So yeah, there, with love from Blender. You can grab them at the Blender store. They are, I mean, they are probably not the cheapest the socks you're gonna find out there, so it's good for like a gift. I wouldn't fill my entire wardrobe with this, but they're super fun and they contribute, they help Blender. By getting this or anything in store.blender.org, you're gonna you contribute to the Blender. It's like a donation to the Blender Foundation, if you will. Store.blender.org. It's you're gonna find also a few other t-shirts. That's the one that I was mentioning, not this one because this is from Cosmos Laundromat. This is a one in a lifetime, but yeah, you're gonna find there the rest of the gears, little hats here and there. I think we don't, this is the first time I promote the Blender store for real in a while. We want the UV suit. It's a cotton. It's let's see, it's 80% cotton, 17% polyamide, 3% elastane, whatever that means. All the info is in the description. So okay, let's I'm gonna drink something before my voice goes out, because I gotta show, before going into the full-on what's new in Blender. Look at this sighting that Samir shared with me.
And we tried putting it in different.
This is the Ghostbusters Afterlife making off.
And we tried putting it in
did you see?
Art department to practical effects to props to graphic design.
So we set
a
drone up in the art department and we captured the whole thing in 3D. And we tried putting it in different locations.
I know those icons.
Scene 23, take 3, Mark.
So yeah, Alan Savage tested. Not too bad. Who you gonna call?
Can I sit in it?
Who are you gonna call? Now you can, yeah, you can call Blender or Canonical in that case right now. What is new in Blender? Okay, there's plenty of news. You probably read the title of this video where I gave it away about the USD import, but also I made a video, a less than 1 hour long video on this YouTube channel, believe it or not, and it was very well received. I'm glad you liked it. I mentioned that it was USD export, but it was actually USD import. I always mix them up. But hey, the whole pipeline is now complete, and I showed it in that video. But let's start with something else. Let's start with our user interface. We don't talk about user interface that much lately, but there has been a few improvements here and there. Not completely user interface, but more the viewport. This one in particular by Folk David, outline count to viewport statistics. So you can have now the number of lamps in the viewport. So you just need to enable stats, and it should just show in there if you have compiled Blender, which I didn't after this. Or no, wait. Let's look at the patch. Even though lights were parts of scene stats, they were not used. This patch has the lights count back into the statistics when a light is the active object. There you go. There you go. So it's not all the time there. Makes sense. So you don't see them constantly. But it should also be the same for others, for cameras and for... I think it was mainly just to bring back the functionality that we had before. Like in, like here. Does it show here in scene stats? It shows the objects and it doesn't show the... Yeah, it doesn't... It's a bit inconsistent though. Does it work in multi-view? If I have a bunch of lights and I take these two to local view. This is 2, this is... Okay, okay, now it works. And now if I don't select anything, okay. Yeah, it works. And then if you don't select anything, that works. And it also works in local mode, but it doesn't show up down here. Do you think it should down here if I move myself to the other side? I think so, right? Would be good to have one-on-one, but here will show all the lights that you have selected. Next improvement of the day, it's the... Oh, this one, it's a community contribution even. So this option allows you to draw the face normals. You know, you can control the size. However, you can now make it screen space. So that means that no matter how you are zoomed in or out in the scene, they're all gonna be constant, a constant size. So that is super handy. Let's see. Let's look at the patch also to give proper credit. Viewport normal drawing with constant length by Piotr Makal. Look at that. It's just a setting, and it's a toggle that you choose for screen space. It looks like a measure. I thought it was a bone at the beginning. Maybe the icon could be could be different, but it's super handy. How's the chat going, by the way? Well, it's people asking about age. Who is over 60? 21, 14, 13, 29. How did you guys come to that, by the way? I'm here reading you. How did you guys come to this? It's funny though. Okay, let's continue. I am 34 still. So the next question, it's the next feature. This is a loop cut if you want. It's a fix that if you have like this talks, we call them, that when you see something and you cannot unsee it. Well, there were a few overlays in Blender that were not, well, actually you can see here the normals. They're not smooth, you know, they are very non-smooth. So the anti-aliasing is not great. There were some tools that also didn't have this treatment, like loop cut. If you do Control R, this line used to be non anti-aliased, so it was completely jagged, which can be a bit annoying. It's not only about it looking nicer, but also depending on the angle that you are, it can be really not precise. So now this is working. There are a few. Let's look at the task by Anthony Edlin. Also Crash. So many contributions by the community this week. So a small patch, but a big change in Blender. In the future, maybe we could tackle some other tools. There is, or if you're watching this, here goes a feature request. The knife tool is also not anti-aliased yet, and the snapping tool that happens in the middle also is not anti-aliased. Look at the ugly lines. The 19s are calling. Yeah, that would be great. feature request. Those are probably good candidates for new developers to mess with the code, go in and check. I have a few other of those today. I wanted to show like a shout out. But let's continue with the user interface. This one, it's related to the feature that I showed last week about the fonts viewing. Now the browsing of fonts in Blender, at least on Windows, I didn't, the post was made by Harley. He develops on Windows. So I need confirmation by macOS and Linux users if that's the case of listing the fonts by their font name and not their font file name. So font title. So that would be pretty nice. However, in the meantime, the name of the data block for the fonts is now taken from the name of the font, the title of the font. So that's super neat. What else? These changes look like, why weren't they done before, some years ago? However, my favorite feature this week, I mean, USD import is cool, okay, you know, but this is my favorite. Windings and symbol fonts on the video sequence editor. Look at that. Yes, Harley made it so now you can load your best. You can go back into, when was this like cool? Back in the early 90s, yeah, 90s, early. I used to use them on Word back then when I was like 10. Yes, symbol fonts. This should open the possibilities to more stuff, I guess. So far, this is only done in the video sequence editors, not for text files. So I'm not wrong. Yes, it says in the video sequence editor. Next improvement, it's I think we're good to change topics. Yeah, let's switch into geometry nodes. This week in geometry nodes, we have a couple new nodes and a an improvement on usability. The two nodes that arrived this week, one is to set the spline type for curves. So you can choose nerves, you can choose vectors, you can choose pretty much anything that it's poly, so vector would be Bezier or the original spline types. And it seems to be super, internally, and geometry nodes, legit, super good work. So I think the 3.0 release will be the geometry nodes curves release for in the world of geometry nodes, unless we have attribute processor and all the other goodies coming too. But yeah, curves workflow is getting pretty complete, especially with this other feature that allows you to select by handle type. So the same way you can select by materials, now you can select by handle types. And it's super cool that people are using the spreadsheet, of course, developers especially. But it shows how useful is this left side sidebar. Showing the control points, the splines. I use it all the time. It's like my reference when I have to, when I want to debug what's going on. I just scroll through all of them. If I find anything, allows you, it has a free attribute to define where the points is free or not, like free handles. Nice. The next improvement is what I mentioned just before. Sometimes we get people saying that they want to contribute to Blender, they want to code for Blender, they want to add little things here and there, but they're not like the best developers in the world, or maybe the most experienced developers in the world. You don't have to be, you don't need like 5 PhDs to be a developer. Not at all. You can contribute even with just small things here and there. I did a shout out a couple of weeks ago about adding descriptions to operators that don't have any description yet, and I think we still have some cases that the some items don't have operators. I think in the outliner I saw there are some, like there's some operators here that say undocumented operator. There is a so doorbell again. 1 hour that I go live every day, every Monday, and I get doorbell. I'm not gonna reply. Answer. Ignore that, please. I don't know if you even hear it. Anyway, select operator. Why is it not commented? It's pretty obvious what it does. So yeah, those are the little things you can do. Or in this case, Ethan, for example, he went into the code for geometry nodes, and in the cases where where it's maybe not allowed to perform a specific transform, you know, you need at least 2 vertices to operate, to do one kind of operations, or 3 vertices. He went ahead and did it. Basically, he added more warnings for out of bounds parameters. So for example, here, if there's less than 3 vertices, then give an error, and an error, so the node shows up shows the little thingy, the warning. Here, vertices must be at least 3, and this is like the simplest thing is like segments less than 3, rings less than 3, and then just add an error. This really helps. We need to have more warnings everywhere. They really help to debug issues. Do you still hear the doorbell? I hope you don't. But yeah, spammers at the door. I know, I get real life spammers. 1 hour that I stream live every Monday, and they pick that hour to come. Police, open the door. Oh no, I hope not. Why are they gonna sue me about police? Illegal software? And I can say, nope, I have the license for everything I use. I own this 3D software, and everybody watching this stream owns this 3D software. Okay. Off topic. Yeah, you hear it. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna continue, otherwise I get distracted. I will gonna have to go pick up some package somewhere in Amsterdam, I guess, at some point. It's Autodesk. No. Let's continue. The other improvements go in a different section. Let's switch into Grease Pencil. In the Grease Pencil corner, we have 2 new operators, options, and a shortcut, hotkey. What is the difference between a shortcut and a hotkey? Please tell me. The first feature, it's super handy when you're drawing. Now you can choose the cap type in Grease Pencil, so you can have rounded or flat caps. It's a setting in the header. You have 2 icons. These are not the final icons. These are just work in progress, and now I'm blown out. The icons were added in a separate commit. That's why they don't show up here. And maybe I have it in Blender. Maybe I can go into into the animation, and then I draw here. There you go, these 2 icons. So one is for round caps. Look at this round little cap, or square ones, just like the old days. Isn't that cute? So nice. This is a big game changer. I can't believe we didn't have that before. The next improvement is not, it's still on Grease Pencil, but it's an operator that already exists in other places in Blender, especially for mesh select. Now you can select random. So if it's, it's an operator, allows you to simply select in edit mode. You can, must be here, select random. And it just selects random items with a ratio, with a seed, and that's pretty much it. And select ends. Oh, this is new. This is not in other places, and I am blocking the view, but there's not really much to see. It's just the extra settings from the operator. The next improvement is a shortcut, but it might change next week. I gave some feedback to the team. It's a shortcut for merge layers. So Grease Pencil have layers, right? Like layers within an object, which makes it very special compared to other objects in Blender. However, the merging operation already exists in mesh modeling, for example, or in curves. You just press M and you choose from a menu what do you want to merge, from the active to the selected, the first to the last one, or in the middle by distance. The operator already existed, but the shortcut they added was Shift-Control-M, which I was discussing with the team that shortcut is actually used already in edit mode for mirror, in mesh edit mode for select the mirror vertices, and maybe the merge layer could be merged with the M. Oh, because M is moved to layer. But in objects, M is merge. Okay, now I'm a bit confused. Okay, maybe we have to have bigger discussions with the team, with the Grease Pencil module team. And I think I'm gonna get in touch with them after the live stream, because M would be probably better to keep as merge, and then Shift M for moving, I guess, which is similar to what we have in object mode for link to collection. So yeah. Next improvement is well, let's talk a little bit about the USD importer. Just to mention that it happened, address it. It's in the title of this video, so I gotta talk about it. It's the big thing that happened last week. I made a video, on YouTube, Blender USD, and here, USD import and export, 4 minutes, super short, to the point. I was playing with the lighting in one of the shots that NVIDIA provides as part of their USD library, and I imported it. It even imported the materials because they use MDL, which is not supported by Blender for export. Blender cannot export MDLs yet with the USD. So yeah, there is still a one-way kind of export that can be imported back into Blender, but itself this is a new UI in Blender, right? Like in Blender, sorry, on YouTube that has separated into, right, the name of the, sorry. Oh, the Gudu was here. Studios will love this. It should improve platform interpretability. No, that word. If you watch the video, you will understand. That's cool. Yeah, but what Andrew says here, it's true. What studios are going to love this. The studios, or even if you're working on your own personal stuff, also it's quite an improvement. On the cloud, there is a blog post coming, I believe, that talks about the, let's see if I can find it. It's not published yet, but there is a blog post coming about using cache for animation with Alembic, not with USD. But I think a similar maybe workflow could be obtained with that. Interoperability. Is that how you say it? Cool. Okay, interoperability. I will practice. The interoperabilidad in español. Probably sounds like papiti poopity to you, like the Italian version of Family Guy. Okay, let's continue. Actually, there's not much to talk about it. I already made a video on it, and most comments say about USD, money laundry, and that kind of stuff for US dollars. Very original, guys. All right, let's switch gears into gears is a good name for rigging. Let's talk about rigging for once. Look at this patch and look at the love of this patch. Bunch of thumbs up and bunch of hearts. This is a new improvement by Alexander Gavrilov on the constraint, on the action constraints that allows you to split channel mix choices from the copy transform. Something we covered a few weeks back, but now for the split channels mix in the action constraint. You can see here how the user interface is. Allows you to choose before the original separate, before the original without, or after and after original separate. The inspiration is actually coming from a video. So you see, when you make those videos on YouTube talking about specific parts of Blender, it's good that you do that kind of stuff, you know, because this inspires developers. So thank you, Luis Pinsard, for inspiring developers to improve, especially in rigging, the rigging side of Blender.
Is instead of evaluating
the links are in the description for this and for all the changes that I've been showing today. Here's the actual use case and a tweet. Oh, maybe in the tweet is more clear than the image. I just updated my add-on to force Blender to evaluate the translation of all the actions before evaluating. All right, you don't need the add-on anymore. It's now in Blender. Yay. Okay, the that's it for rigging. Actually, let's move into assets. And assets, there's not huge changes, but there are important changes that make it so the asset browser is finally becoming its own separate thing right now. Whenever a new editor appears in Blender, usually you have to choose, you make something from scratch, which is a ton of work, as you can imagine, or you take from, you get inspired by another editor. In the case of the asset browser, since it's browsing assets with a preview, and made more sense to use the file browser as a base. But yeah, you end up with a bunch of file browser operations that you don't need. That cleanup is ongoing right now, and I think they got rid of pretty much everything that didn't make sense in the asset browser. So the pull downs are asset browser specific. The add menu as add asset details toggle for the sidebar. They remove some menus that were not needed. They hide some filtering options that didn't make sense, and display settings also that didn't apply for the asset browser. And even the context menu now, it's its own thing for the asset browser. So if you're working with add-ons and you're tweaking the asset browser to your add-on to use the asset browser, you may want to revisit this to add to the proper menus and stuff. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Actually, we have a couple more. Yes, let's talk about cycles. Not cycles X, but cycles. There is a new setting that allows you to control global illumination, approximation, ambient occlusion distance per object. So now each object in the so the goal here in the commit by Sergey says allow to easily use ambient occlusion approximation in scenes which combines both small and large scale objects. So basically, when you have different objects that are too different in size, it's good to have a per object setting for this approximation. Where can you find it? In the, let's go to general. Let's switch to my evil twin on the other side here. When you have an object selected and when you are in Eevee, when you're in cycles, you should check out the object panel under shading. There is a sub panel called fast GI approximation, AO distance. I don't know if we're going to have more settings here. Maybe it's not even worth to have its separate sub panel for it, making it too long. But for the time being, it's super handy. And the other improvement that I actually didn't, I didn't get the link. Let's see if Google smarts to get it. Yeah, I actually got it from mailarchive.com. Boah. Okay. Well, The change this week is super exciting, at least if you get excited by stuff coming from other parts such as cycles into Blender for more consistency, such as here, render rights brecht, move cycles visibility, holdout and shadow catcher properties to Blender. But you may think, isn't that Blender already? No, there are many settings, features that are only cycle specific or other render engine specific. Not too long ago, the depth of field, for example, for cycles, Eevee was completely, the settings for those, they were completely separate. They were its own thing in each engine. Now there's a few values that they share, making it easier and more, and also accessible, because cycles is an add-on ultimately. There is an API to access that data, and that makes it easier for other render engines to access. And also, as a side effect, Eevee now supports per object holdout. Yay! So you have visibility on Eevee for holdouts. This is super cool. This is super cool. There is the visibility settings. They were only cycles. Now they are. Let's see how it looks. Let's go to Eevee. And under object visibility, we have holdout. There you go. Nice. The next improvement. Where is it? Oh no. I thought it was in cycles, but it's in cycles X. So hold on. I'll get to it in a minute. First, let's go into a potpourri section. It's a bit of everything. In BMesh, the Laplacian smooth supports n-gons now. If you don't know anything what I'm saying, you probably know, don't use it. Don't use the Laplacian smooth on n-gons on more than 4 vertices polygons, but it's big news. macOS support for portable builds with dynamic libraries. That is super welcome as well, especially Mac users. Library override. This is mainly a shout out for people that make add-ons. It's not a shout out. It's a PSA for people making add-ons using overrides. If you're in a studio and you're a TD at a studio and you're making scripts to handle the overrides, now there is an API access to reset and delete overrides. So if you're making add-ons for that, keep an eye out. And all right, let's go into Cycles X. There are a couple new changes this week. First, Cycles X. Remember, this is not in master yet. This is a branch. You're not going to find it when you go to builder.blender.org and you download Blender 3 Alpha Master. That being said, more flexible open image denoise pre-filtering settings. Now there is 3 settings. First, none. Assume that the guiding passes are clean. So this is what it was. No, the before one was the fast one. So it gives none. It gives the best results without extra processing time, in expense of requiring to have enough samples rendered to give clean guiding passes. Corresponds to open image denoise cleanox true. So this is from people that are familiar with the library itself. The next, fast. This is the old behavior. Color and guiding passes are denoised together. This is the fastest way of giving denoise result in the expense of possible loss of details. If you're rendering something final, maybe this is not the one you want. The one you want is probably accurate. So uses special guiding passes pre-filtering before denoising color passes, and gives the best results in the expense of extra time needed to perform pre-filtering. Avoids over blurring details. Again, if you're having blurring details, like your bump is going away when using open image denoise, you may want to first give it a bit more samples and also select accurate now in Cycles X. And the last but not least at all, look at this. Cycles X. Add camera visibility and shadow catcher options for lights. Have you ever wanted to see a light, like have a light and then see it in space without a volume? is now possible for lights. That's awesome. How do they even look? Well, be aware that anti-aliasing can be a problem with directly visible bright lights. I don't think that can be avoided. You may want to have different passes for that, I guess, or treat them differently. But hey, or maybe you can have a low intensity light for the camera, but doesn't affect anything else, and then an actual light that is not visible for the camera but for everything else for lighting. Maybe that would be a good way. But hey, you can do it now. Super cool. Awesome. Let's wrap up, I think. Yep, everything I answered. I went through everything. Remember, the links for everything that I mentioned in this live stream are in the description below that like button, like MKBHD does. Below that like button, the links to everything that I show, everything. And now I think it's time to, that's a long title. Let's first read the 23 comments. Nice. Okay, let's start without further ado. I didn't know it was ado. I spent 3 years, I think it was last year, that somebody sent me a message very kindly saying, hey Pablo, I love your show, it's super nice, but I think you're saying do, and it's ado, with a further ado. And I was super happy that somebody said. So if you notice I'm saying something terribly bad, please explain to me. I will be super happy to learn. That's the only way to learn. Where else will you read ado? That doesn't tell you, and nobody tells you that in school. Hey Pablo, I hope you're having a good day. I'm having a great day, except that I have to go pick up a package somewhere in Amsterdam this week. Simple question. What is the future of FX in Blender? Will physics be treated as a first-class citizen or as a secondary good to have features? Everything is treated as a first-class citizen, some more than others because, well, okay, let's continue. But mainly it's up to the developers that like to work on that area. It's more up to the developers that are passionate about an area. Mainly, pretty much all aspects of Blender are comparable to other software, and the modeling in Blender, in my opinion, best among all DCC except physics. No, modeling is still also behind. If you don't have hard ops or box cutter or that kind of stuff, it takes time to do some things that could be faster. In reality, it is possible to get a very decent result with MantaFlow and soft body. Maybe except the rigid body stuff because it's very basic, and to get an organic feature, people have to use an old branch. It's not ideal. But one has to have the patience of a monk or something to deal with the crashes and lags to get the best result, and that's most probably because of Blender's Viewport performance, and the only hope is the high poly mode that was in the blog post made by Pablo. No. No, I don't think it's Pablo's, what Pablo Navarro was mentioning in that blog post has anything to do with MantaFlow dealing with more data, with simulations dealing with more data. So okay, in the viewport and maybe other aspects of Blender as well. No, I don't think it's related. I think MantaFlow just needs to be GPU. Like CPU it's not great for that kind of stuff. And the quick effects are cool, but it's really basic and there isn't much of it. Something like quick C or quick explosion or quick shockwave or quick destructions will be much better. Hint, this quick whatever in Blender, these are all just Python add-ons. Not add-ons, but yeah. They are quick for example, quick explode, quick. It's just a bunch of commands to run. It's like a macro. So this is, yeah, this could be expand it, and anybody is welcome to contribute with this, but you have to make a good example first and then use it. For example, quick ocean, maybe it's easier to do, but again, it just takes someone that really knows the good settings and making it good looking, and then we could have more quick effects, I think. Hey, Hans is in the chat. It mentions that MantaFlow is 50%, more than 50% faster in 3.0 already. I think so, yeah. Thanks to Eric Abrahamson. Awesome. Good to see you, Hans. Okay, next. The other question. Or it's still on the same question. Currently doing any realistic simulation is massive pain. We know. It's impossible to do anything than the user instance fears. We know. It's a very bad experience. Yes, we know. I think the node-based system could solve that with much easier and procedural way to adding those, and also like a proxy system for particles. Yeah, that's a good idea. And to correctly represent the simulation of a high number of particles. I see, I'll feel your pain. Unfortunately, there's not really a lot of physics developers out there. It seems to be a difficult topic. Physics, who would have said? Who would have thought? Hi Pablo, how are you? Evil Fervor, I'm doing great. Important part. Question for Pablo. Everything is, oh, okay. Let's see. I'm wondering, is there a way in Blender to have an animated object per scene using one blend file, no linking from other files? To have animated object per scenes. I mean literally the same object. For example, can an object cube have the set animation, CFQ action on scene at the same time? Yes, but you should use armatures for that. Then you can have you have even more flexibility. You can have, you can make it use one character and have multiple actions. You can use the NLA for that even. I'm tired of hiding stand doubles like Q001 for no, yeah, you should use armatures for that mainly. So yeah, I think I answered your question, right? That if you want these kind of animations, the best thing to do is just treat it like a character. Just make an armature and group like a collection, and then you instance the collection in other scenes. It's gonna give you the most flexibility. All right, next question by Mileporte. Extrude, instancing, and transforming. Hi Pablo. Would be very useful if the extrude operator had this widget to rotate and scale following a path, even a curve in this case. What is a widget? Is this a widget? The line? The follow path? Would be very useful. The extrude operator had this widget. Oh, okay, so you want the extrude tool. So this to have like a tool for go around a line. Like you can go around. How would it even work? Or scale as you, okay, because right now it only pushes up, but you want something that can extrude and also scale and rotate? I think so. Extrude a long path. Yeah, but you need to define a path first, right? Or how do you define a path? How does it even work? Is it a new tool? I need GIFs. It's not I need answers. I need GIFs. Because this line something you draw before or after? It's something you just like pull and draw. That would be actually pretty cool. Like just pull and then draw a line. Like a hook almost in sculpt mode. The second topic is about instancing in geometry nodes. Would be also useful if you could attach a custom geometry inside the current node tree. Yes, there are patches. There is a patch for this already And Hans, if you're watching this, I don't know, I don't remember the number of the patch, but it's being reviewed, right? The instance of geometry instead of object and collections only. I saw the patch somewhere. Get back to you when I get the answer. If somebody else in the audience is also aware of that patch, let me know. The next question. Hi Pablo, I hope you're doing well, says M Pintoris V. I was on a viewing Blender Code website and I noticed that Settlers was in the film section, even though Settler isn't a film. Perhaps change it to projects instead, so you can add your Frankie. Also, I was sad to hear about Tangent Animation closing down. Yeah, super sad news. I hope all the artists are doing well in the current situation. Also, how did I not notice that Cosmos Laundromat was on Netflix? How did it get there? Did the studio talk to Netflix, or just there because Cosmos is public domain? So okay, many questions here. Is Blender Cloud? The Blender Cloud, yes, the Blender Cloud has a section called Films, and there's a Settlers, which is not really a film. So yeah, should it be projects, and then they're all projects, and then we can have your Frankie here. But then you could also call training a project. No, we've been through this so many times. At some point we called it open projects. In Blender.org we actually call it open projects, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, about open projects. And here it's Settlers, not even here. But this is the first Caminantes is here, even though it's not a Blender. Kind of. And your Frankie is here. Yeah, we could rename this section. I agree. There are kind of big changes coming on Blender Cloud though. This year, I would say. What else? Tangent Animation closing down. Yes, super sad. If you've been following the social media news lately, the Tangent Animation studio closed down, and they're related to Blender because they were part, or at least at some point of the development fund, they contributed code to Blender, and they were using Blender up until like 5 or 6 months before closing down. So yeah, they were really close to Blender for a while. Also, I hope all artists are doing well. I hope so too. Cosmos Laundromat is on Netflix. Yes, how did it get there? No, it's not because it's public domain. I think it's not really public domain. It's actually CC BY. So there's the difference there. Public domain, anybody can do anything you want with them. CC BY, Cosmos Laundromat, and all the open movies, you can do anything you want as long as you provide credit. That's a small difference there. Actually the Netflix requested the Cosmos for being there because it's in HDR. That's the difference. That is not available online. You have to compile it, like run it, encode it yourself, and they did it to be compliant with Netflix stuff. Here, the developer.blender.org link, thanks Hans. This is the patch. Initial support for geometry instancing. Work in progress, July, 1 month ago, and it's getting a lot of love, as you can see. So it seems to be that part looks fine. Look, wow, you have everybody involved. Jack made it, Brecht here, then there is Clement, Evie, Hans, Jack. I would say it's in good hands. Merge, branch to master last week. So yeah, it's in good hands. I would expect it soon-ish. Hopefully it will be ready soon. Cool. Next question. Okay, how long are we? We have 4 more questions. Let's do 5 more. I see my hand like yellow, but I think it's just the color. It's my t-shirt. Okay. Hey, psst, Pablo, you got any juicy Blender secrets to share with us we don't know about yet? Also, I just realized I can like my own comment on here. Should that be possible? I don't know. Do you guys like on Twitter that you can also like your own, and it's a good way to see if someone is lame or not, basically. When you see someone liking their own stuff, it's a good sign of lameness. So I kind of like to leave it there. However, in here you can't see who liked your comments yet. However, in up here you can see who liked the posts if you click on the number of likes. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but on right click select, now you can see who voted for the idea. So here, if you click on the app votes, you see, like in this case, Ivek voted up for this feature, and in this case, Druidamics voted down. You can see more clearly about, it's a bit more transparency. It's, I hope it doesn't make anybody mad of the downvotes, but it's cool to see who agreed or disagreed with ideas. Then next question, where was I? Oh, any juicy Blender secrets? What kind of Blender secrets do you want to know? Like Blender, there is an account called Blender Secrets. Yeah, the Blender secret is that now you can see who voted or downvoted your idea, your proposal that you worked so hard. I don't know, juicy Blender secrets. Next, yeah, you can mark as duplicate. I should mark this as duplicate. This thing. This is new also. We voted it in. We released it a few weeks ago, and I can mark as duplicate, and I can choose the original idea, and then this will link it to other ideas that have in duplicate. So it's super cool. I can't think of a juicy Blender secret right now, but you should follow Blender Secrets on Twitter. The Twitter? Well, I mean, I say you should follow, but it's because sometimes they share some cool stuff here. So that should be here, like this one, the deform using scale gauge. Apparently, not a lot of people knew about this feature. Was really surprised. It's right there. It's next to the scale, but I agree. Although this could have maybe, like this could be a transform widget where you click on the corners and it could become like a rotate, or with a shortcut. So it could be a one cage, transform cage to rule them all, maybe. The next question, number 4. Can you please update the line snap mesh tool? What's wrong with it? I want this as well. What is update? Do you find that some shapes don't close? Some, many triangular prisms? What version of Blender? You should use 3.0 because there are some updates there. I'm on Blender 3 Alpha and I got the same. Yeah, I don't know what is update, but maybe report the issue if something is not working, but the update is a bit vague. Hi Pablo, is there an idea to replace all modifiers with nodes? I mean, fully replace modifiers panel with geometry nodes? No, not at all. The geometry here, this section, it's super cool. Like being able to have just quickly enable and disable settings. It's super nice. It's handy. It's visible. It's easy to understand. So geometry nodes internally could replace most of at least the generate and some deform. In some cases, maybe this too. But it shouldn't replace everything. I think there is some power in having both. Internally it could, just exposing it, but yeah, that would be the best, I think. Can we wait more advanced audio tools? EQ compressor? Well, I don't know. The one developer that was working on audio, I've seen him on developer.blender.today sometime not too long ago, but I don't think it's working actively on the library anymore. So yeah, we need a module owner, you know, someone that loves audio and wants to contribute to Blender. This was 2, 3, 4. Hi Pablo, question. Why the asset manager can't append the mesh with the armature connected? I can append my mesh with the armature from file menu, but not from the asset manager. You need to bring the object, because the object will bring the modifiers, and armature is a modifier. So it's not connected to the mesh, but with the object. The last question. Hi everyone, by 3D. I was wondering, why was Suzanne selected as the name of the monkey? And does the USD exporter maintain shaders names on export? Okay, that's completely unrelated. But Suzanne, the name Suzanne is from a film that I wasn't... It's a monkey, Suzanne... Grumpy... No, this... Which one is the film? A monkey... No. About... Kevin Smith film, Jay... Yeah, I think so, there. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. There you go. So if you search for that monkey, maybe you find the monkey scene. I think this one, yeah. I think they have a monkey and it's called Suzanne. Yeah, that's Suzanne. That's the answer. I don't know if this is what you were expecting, but next, the USD exporter maintains shader names on export. Not that I know. It doesn't export shaders at the moment. Does it remove the dots like Alembic does? Sorry, I don't know that one. But you should try at least. And I think they are as consistent as possible, but yeah. If there's any difference, maybe you can report it, because the idea is that they're as close as possible within limits, right? Within following the conventions of each file type format. Just wondering, because it breaks material assignments on re-import with Alembic. Was that reported ever? I would report that. Like export and re-importing shouldn't break it. Shouldn't break things. Should be, especially if within Blender. Shouldn't break that kind of stuff. Okay, the last one. I have a question. Will path guiding on Cycles X list allow great caustics with cycles? Well, they are like the team when we presented when the Cycles X announcement happened here, that we had Brecht on board and Sergey. They mentioned that caustics in Cycles X would be possible with this with path guiding. I think you can rewatch that, but I think that was answered during the live stream. I think we can call it a day. Oops. How was it for you? How was it? Did you have fun? Suzanne, you learned something new. Cycles X will have path guiding, that is true. Suzanne, the ape, yes. It's an ape. It's not a monkey, it's an ape, yes. And it's an orangutan in the film. Okay. That is all for this week. I had a blast. I hope you did too. It's been fun. Remember, if you still want to have the socks, I don't dare to use them. It's just they're pristine, just as they are right now. But I will have to. I'm also coming back to the studio. This week we have Jack Luke from the Geometry Nodes project here in Amsterdam, I think for 1 week. And that would be maybe a good chance to do something, to do some videos. So make sure you follow Blender on social media, especially on Twitter and on maybe on Instagram. On Instagram we are Blender.official. That is all for now. We have to get get again together next week. I'm going back to the studio, maybe next week or maybe not next week because I have to bring the cameras and stuff. But soon this place will be gone and will become a office, a regular work office, not my house anymore. Face masks, no, they're not mandatory anymore, at least not in the Blender studio. So face mask, Blender face masks like this, but they are for how much longer do we have to? Maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe it was a bit late to the party to start making them now. Or we are ready for the next one. I hope not. All right, that being said, with that happy tone, we have to get together next week, same place, same time for another episode of Blender Today Live. Thanks everyone for staying until the end. See you soon. Pronto. Bye.